This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Shalom Aleichem, dear friends. Bruchim Haboim. Welcome everyone to Daf Hashavua, the Tuesday night edition. Daf Lamed Amud Beis. Daf Lamed Amud Beis. Okay, we have a new Mishnah now. One of the operating principles that we're going to be dealing with extensively is by Nedarim Hochim Achar Lashon Bnei Adam, that the wording used when one makes a neder will not be determined by the way that word appears in a pasuk, but rather it will be determined by common parlance, the way people usually speak. It says the Mishnah, Hanoider meiroye hachama, one who makes a neder from those who see the sun. So think about it. Who sees the sun? People with eyesight. People with eyesight, people who are blind, cannot see the sun. However, if the guy meant he's going to answer only those who see the sun, who have sight, he could have just said Hanoider meiroyim, from people who see. The fact that he says from people who see the sun means that what he means is those people who the sun sees them. Asr af basumen, he's asr even for blind people. Shaloi niskavin ze ela l'misha chamaroy oisan. His intention was only for those who the sun sees them. My time is why? Why do we explain the neder this way? He doesn't say from those who see, but rather those who the sun sees them. Now, who in this world does the sun not see? La'afuke dogim. The sun doesn't see fish. Ve'ubarim, where it doesn't see a fetus. So therefore, that's why he didn't say royim, but rather roye chama. Let's see the Ran. If I believe the Ran for Lamed Amud Beis is found on Lamed Amud Aleph. Says the Ran could be found on Lamed Amud Aleph, on the Mishnah on Lamed Amud Aleph. Asar af besumen, dechi ka'amar meiroye chama lo sheyu heim royim hachama. He doesn't mean that they should see the sun. Kamar dim can have leila meimar min haroyin belchud. Then he should have just said those who see. Sharei kol haroyin heim royin gam ken hachama, because anyone who sees the sun. Elavada midim midkar chama. The fact that he mentioned the sun, shachama roya oisam, that the sun sees them. Ka'amar doesn't mean that he sees the sun, but rather that the sun sees them. Ulafuke dogim v'ubarim niskaven k'disa b'gemara. Next Mishnah, Hanoider mishachoyrei harosh, one who makes a neder from black-headed people, dark-headed people. Presumably that means from people with hair. Some people in this world have hair, some people don't have hair. So you would think he's only answering people with hair, people who are bald, or if he says dark-haired people, maybe he's excluding white-haired people. No, asur bekarchen ubali sevois, he's asur in bald people and in old people. Why? But umutter benoshim avaktanim, he's permitted in women and minors. Why? Because dark-haired people is a way of saying men. She'ein nikram shchoyrei harosh ela anashim. Only men are called dark-haired people. In other words, if somebody says they asr all dark-haired people, if we're going to take him literally, then we would say he's only answering people with hair, and he's only answering people with black hair. He's not answering white-haired people, blonde-haired people, redheads, bald people. No. The way dark-haired people is a way of saying men, because we're going to see that women and children there's a different way to refer to them. Says, let's see the Ran. The Ran on the back on the Lamed Amud Aleph. Asur b'karachin u'balei sevois. Asur b'karachin, he's asur in bald people. Afal pi she'en lahem ser, even though they don't have hair. U'balei sevois v'afal pi she'sar and lavan. She'en nikram shchoyrei rosh ela anoshim b'gemara mafarish taima. Let's see the Gemara. My taima, midoloi ka'amar mi balei seyar, because the fact that he didn't say people with hair. Why? If the guy meant to be la'afuke, those people who are bald, he could have just said people with hair. Meaning, he can't be excluding bald people. If he was excluding bald people, he would have said people with hair. So that means when he says dark hair, dark people with a dark head, we don't say it excludes bald people. So then if it doesn't exclude bald people, then why would it exclude white-haired people? So what is it? Therefore what? It must be, this is a way of saying he's only answering men. And the Gemara is going to explain why. The Gemara says, Umutter benashim aviktanim, he's mutter in women and minors. Why? She'enikram shchoyer harosh ela anashim. Because dark-headed is only referring to men. My taima. Why? Anashim zimnan de mechasar reshav, zimnan de megal reshav. Men, sometimes they cover their head, sometimes their head is not covered. Avol nashim la'olam michsu. Women always have their hair covered. Uketanim la'olam miglu. Children always have their hair uncovered. So this means as follows. When you refer to women, the way to refer to them is people of covered hair, heads. When you refer to children, you refer to them as people of uncovered heads. But men, since their hair is sometimes covered and sometimes uncovered, we cannot refer to them by whether they're covering of their head. In other words, women, there's a way to refer to them. How do you refer to women? Women are people whose hair is always covered. How do you refer to children? Children are people whose head is always uncovered. But therefore, when you say dark-haired people, you must be referring to men, because there's no other way to refer to men other than dark-haired people. Now, this is a little bit of a question. We know that there's a famous Taz. Taz learns that nowadays covering one's head is a dairaisa because of chukais ha'amim. So how could the Gemara say that the men, their head is sometimes uncovered? There are Gemaras that imply that a man only has to cover his head, maybe if he's saying a bracha or in other circumstances. But this Gemara implies there are times that maybe it's permitted for the man not to cover their hair, but cover their head. But what the Gemara is saying is that the expression head-covered people is a reference to men. Why is it a reference to men? Because women are called, the expression dark-headed people is a reference to men. Because women are called head-covered people, children are called head-uncovered people. Men, therefore, have no title other than dark-haired people. Let's see the Ran. The Ran, on the opening of the Gemara, that says, "My time in midoloi kamar mi balei seyar," meaning why do we include bald people? From the fact that he didn't say from people with hair covered, with hair. Why didn't he just say I'm answering people with hair? So it means he's not excluding bald people. Says the Ran, Alma afilu karchen b'chlal. We see even bald people are included. V'kiven d'shchoyer harosh l'gabe karachen lav dafka. Since dark-headed regarding baldness is lav dafka, l'balei sevis nami lav dafka. In terms of right-headed, it's also lav dafka. Mishum hachi amar, therefore it says, the chi ka'amar shchoyrei harosh, when it says people with a dark head, la'oisam sha'adam mita'er oisam b'shchoyrei harosh niskavein. To those that a person would describe as a dark head. We're saying that the term a dark head is a description of those type of people that would be described that way. Dahainu anoshim, namely men. Demishum dezimna mechasur reshayon. Why are men called dark-headed? Because sometimes they cover their head. Zimnin megalu, there's no way to describe them with a description of head covering. Therefore, they're called dark-headed. Why? Why are they called dark-headed? But what about people with white hair, red hair, no hair? Most people, their hair is dark. Yeah, I mean, looking on the Shiur tonight, it's not polite, but so far, all the people who are willing, who are brave enough to show their face, we all have dark hair, right? We don't have any of the exclusions. Okay. By the way, learning Masechta Nedarim is a skula to keep your hair dark. No, actually not. But maybe. Okay. Most men, their hair is dark. Women, since women always cover their hair, person describes them as head covered people. Fine. Now we get to the fun part. And we're going to take the opportunity to the trick for this Mishnah is it's the opposite of what you would have thought. That's how I remember it. Hanoider min ha-yeludim. One who made a neder from those who were born already. I always think yeludim means those who will be born, so that's how I remember it means those who were born, okay? Hanoider min ha-yeludim. One who made a neder from those who were born. I aser all the people who were born, mutter b'nai ladim. He's mutter in the people who will be born after the neder. Min ha-noi ladim, but someone who made a neder from the people who will be born, aser min ha-yeludim. He's aser from the people who were already born. Rabbi Meir matter af b'yeludim. Rabbi Meir matters even in the people who were born. Sounds like the simple reading of Rabbi Meir is someone who made a neder on people who will be born. The Tanakama says, you're usher on the people who were born. Rabbi Meir says, not only are you mutter on the people who will be born, you're also mutter on the people who were born. The Chachamim say, no, you're usher in both. When you say min hanoi ladim, you mean human beings who are born, as opposed to what? As opposed to things born from eggs. They're hatched, they're not born. Okay, so now we're going to turn to the Ran. The Ran on Lamed Amid Aleph. Min ha-yeludim, shenoyladim kvar, those who were born already. Mutter b'noyladim ba'asidim livaled. Mater af b'yeludim, Rameir matters even those who were born. Ufarchin Gemara, the Gemara asks, well, v'kol shekein b'noyladim. Certainly, if you answer, if Rameir says even those who were born, that means he certainly answers those who will be born. Then who are you answer to? Imkein aman ka'asar. Okay, let's go to the Gemara. Says the Holy Gemara. Now we're going to examine the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says, if you aser those who were born, Rabbi Meir says, if you aser those who will be born, Rabbi Meir says, not only are you mutter to those who will be born, you're even mutter to those who were born. The Rabbi Meir v'loy mibai noiladim goes without saying the people who will be born. Ella, so if that's the case, Rabbi Meir is saying you're even mutter to those who were born. Who exactly are you aser to? Ela miman aser. Says the Gemara, chesurei mechsara v'hachi katani. It's missing, and this is what it means to say. By the way, over the years, I encountered a lot of different perushim in Chesurei Machzora. One of them is the Tiferes Yisrael in Eruvin that says Chesurei Machzora is they used to learn the Mishnah with a nigun. And by the way, they say Rabbi Yashiv knew the nigun and would learn Mishnayos with that nigun. And sometimes the words didn't fit the tune, so they took out the words to fit the tune. So, okay, that's one perush. What many Rishonim say, Chesurei Machzora v'hachi katani, is that we know the Mishnah originally consisted of 600 Sidarim. So then Rebbe condensed it to aid memory. So Chesurei Machzora v'hachi katani in the original text before Rebbe abridged it. But recently, preparing for the trip in Vilna, I saw in the introduction of the Pa'as HaShulchan, one of the Talmidei Hagra, that the Gra said Chesurei Machzora v'hachi katani means like this. The Tana of the Mishnah held like a certain shita, and based on that shita, nothing is missing. However, since we don't paskin like that shita, the Gemara is saying, for us, we should understand Ki'ilu the Mishnah said like this, but the Tana that had the Mishnah had a cheshbon for not writing like this, and the Torah Shabbat Peh was specifically conveyed in this secretive way, and the remez is Chamuke Yirei Chayech. Chamuke stands, it's a passing Shiurim. Chesurei Machzora v'hachi katani. Yeah, that's anyway. So the Gemara says Chesurei Machzora v'hachi katani. Hanoider min hayiludim muter b'noyladim. If you make a neder from those who were born, you're permitted in those who will be born. That's the first statement of the Mishnah. Min hanoyladim, you make a neder from those who will be born. Asr bayiludim. Tanakama says you're asr in those who were born. Rabbi Meir says in the second case, af hanoider min hanoiladim, even someone who makes a neder from those who will be born, they're also you're mutter bayiludim, you're mutter in those who were born. Meaning, just like in the Tanakama, just like in the first case, if you make a neder from those who were born, you're mutter for those who will be born. Rabbi Meir says, if you make a neder from those who will be born, you're mutter on those who were born. Why? Ki heichi denoider min hayiludim. Just like when you make a neder from those who were born, you're mutter ba noiladim, you're mutter and those who will be born. Says the Ran. V'loy mi boy b'noyladim ela min mayas ar ishari b'noyladim uviyiludim if you're mutter in both. Min hanoyladim asar af bayiludim. That's what the Rabbanan hold. Why do the Rabbanan hold if you make another of those who will be born, you're asar and those who were born? The Sril Rabbanan the nehida amra min hayiludim ein hanoyladim tahainu oisam shasidim livalid b'chlal. True, if you make another from those who were born, those who will be born is not included. Hani mili biyiludim shulashin mayucha. That's if you say yiludim, which is a specific terminology. Aval hanoyladim koilo shneim. The word noiladim, which technically means will be born, includes both of them. Dahainu oisim shanoldu, even those who were born, v'shasidim livalid. Rameir Palagnami, Rameir argues, and he says, just if you make another from those who were born, those who will be born are not included. So too if you made another from those who were born, so too if you make another from those who will be born, those who were born are not included. That's the af. When Rameir says af, when Rabbi Meir says af bayiludim, he means just like if you're making another from yiludim, you're mutter noiladim. If you make another from noiladim, you're also mutter and yiludim. But of course, you're asar in the noiladim, those who will be born. Okay. Amar le Rav Papa. So Rav Papa said back Amalei Rapal Abaye. Lememra de noiladim de masialdim mashma. Are you going to say that noiladim means that will be born? Because that means Rabbi Meir holds noiladim means those who will be born. Elamayata, but now shnei banecha hanoiladim lecha b'yaretz Mitzrayim, your two sons that were born in the land of Egypt. Hachanami dis yaladanhu. Here too we're going to say that means they will be born. How could Rabbi Meir hold noiladim means the future, but the pasuk clearly says shnei banecha hanoiladim lecha b'yaretz Mitzrayim. That's referring to the past. Hachanami dis yaladanhu. You're going to say it means the future? No, we see from the Torah that it means the past. Elamai. Ve'elamai diyelidu mashma. Elamai, it means that they were born. Elamayata d'chsev hine ben noilad lebeis David. A son will be born lebeis David. Yoshio Shemai. So don't, here it means the future. Hachanami dahava? You can say in the past? Vari adai Menashe loiba. Menashe, think about it. Who's Menashe? The father of Ammon, the father of Yoshiyahu. Even the Zayda wasn't born yet. So we see that noiladim means the future. So l'chayra, the Chachamim are right. Noiladim means both. Ela mashma hachi. But really, it's mashma both. Uvenedarim halach achalosh me'adam. And by Nedarim, we follow the language of people. So even though in the Torah it means both, but Rabbi Meir would say that we follow the language of people, and people, when they say noiladim, they mean future. Let's see the Ran. Elamayata biata shnei banecha v'hamenashe Ephraim kvar noiladu. It means the past. Uvenedarim halach achalosh me'adam v'haki pligi Ramei of Rabbanan. And this Ramei and the Rabbanan argued. Rabbanan savri yidichi hechish noiladim b'lashon Torah kailel noiladim kvar v'asin livaled. The rabbis hold, just like in the language of the Bible, noiladim means born in the past and will be born in the future. Hachanami b'lashon me'adam. That's how people talk. V'hainu dahaji Rabbanan l'meimar b'seifa. That's why the rabbis respond in the Seifa that when the guy uses the lashon of noiladim, his kavana is b'misha darka lihivaled, someone who normally gives birth. V'hainu dahaji Rabban al-Meimar b'seifa d'masisin le'niskavin zeh ela m'misha darka lihivaled. He's only niskavin for someone who his derech is to give birth. V'loi das shlishihu. That line in the Mishnah is not a third opinion. Ela de perushe kamafarshi tamayu. The rabbis are explaining their position. The Amri, they say the hanoidim and hanoiladim, that one who makes a neder from those who will be born, aser b'chal is aser to everyone. V'kayav time elamosayim, they give a reason. Shalei niskavin that his kavanah was only to someone who gives birth. Bein lahaba, whether in the future, bein l'shavar in the past, l'fishein b'mashmois lashon zeh kavanah achas miuchedes, because this language does not have one particular meaning. L'shavar davka ilaba davka. So therefore it includes both. Rabbi Meir savar, Rabbi Meir holds no. I understand b'lashon haTorah noiladim can mean the past, like v'ata shnei banecha hanoiladim lecha, or in the future hinei ben noilad lebeis David. But for Rabbi Meir savar the b'lashon adam loy mikri noiladim el asin livali. The word noiladim is only a word for the future. Uv'yeludim nami. But the word Yiludim also, the Tarvayu Maida, everyone agrees. The mutter ba'isen shasin livalid, that you're mutter and those who will be born in the future. Tamayu mishum lashon bnei adam. Their reason is lashon bnei adam. Di'ilu b'lashon Torah ki hechi demashin noiladim kvar. Because in the lashon of the Torah, just like Yeludim means past, K'dachsiv Kala'am Ha-Yeludim B'midbar, it also can mean the future. Hachanami Masha Asidim Livali K'dachsiv Kalaben Ha-Yiloid. So, by the way, clearly the Ran learns that the way to pronounce the word is not Yeludim, but Yiloidim. Because the Ran says the truth is Yiloidim, everyone agrees. B'lashem B'nei Adam means the past, even though in the Torah we find Yiloidim both ways. We find the past, Kala'am Ha-Yiloid Ba'midbar, that's the past, and we find the future, Kalaben Ha-Yiloid. So, if the Chachamim say that the word Noiladim means anyone who gives birth, as opposed to what? What does that mean? He answers anyone, whether born in the past or will be born in the future, as opposed to what? The Chachamim Oimrim Loiniskavein Ze Elo Mimisha Darka Livaled La'afuke Mai La'afuke Dogim Va'oifois, that they're not born, they're hatched. Says the Ran, La'afuke Dogim Va'oifois Sheim Matilim Beitzim. They lay eggs, V'loi mitard, V'loi Missaru B'mei Iman, and they're not created in their mother's womb. Okay, so next week, B'siyata D'Shmaya, we do Daf Lamed Aleph. Next week is a regular week. Next week we might have to flip it around, because the Shiur next week, the Parsha Shiur is going to be Tuesday night. But Be'ezus Hashem, next week is Daf Lamed Aleph. Maybe we have to do part of Lamed Beis because of Shavuos is the week after that. In the meantime, you'll stay tuned if we have to get together. Thursday night, we'll see. But we did the Eon last night, and the place in the ocean where the floor bed goes down, it was revealed to me, is drop-off. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Yeah? Niskalili. Okay. Shkayach, everyone. Have a good day. Good night. Bye.
I saw a picture of a drop-off.
That what?
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.